Hello and welcome to this episode of the House of the Dev podcast. We're here with Raphael Colantonio. Hi, Raph.
Hello.
I'm your co-host, Peter Salnikov, and this time around we sit down with Fuad Kuliev, founder and creative director of Eschatology Entertainment, a team of veteran devs currently working on a mysterious first-person shooter set in the apocalyptic Wild West, and it's gonna be a Souls-like. Hi, Fuad, and thank you for making time to join us today.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for inviting. Nice to meet you, Raf.
Nice to meet you.
You are entering the House of the Dev.
The season is brought to you by Indigo, the investment fund for independent devs.
Now, you guys are both famous for doing games with a lot of shooting, and it's ironic that both of you are also engaged into something about the West, be it the Wild West in the apocalypse or the Weird West, somewhere outside our planet. So is there a specific passion for you guys in that, or is that a certain perspective, weapons-wise, design-wise, that this setting allows you to create?
I think altogether, firstly, it's not so surprising that we are fans of the Weird Western or Weird West, because every time we speak about is there audience, who people watch Weird West or look for a Weird West, I typically always remember that The Dark Tower is one of the 50 top best-selling books in the whole history of the bibliography, and it's Weird West in itself by Stephen King. And also, I was born in USSR. And I think you also remember that the whole television was full of spaghetti westerns.
Yeah.
That at some point, probably somebody. Yeah, and even right now, we have a Friday meetings when we just looking for westerns and old one and watch them with the team, and we were like, oh, I know that. I know what happened next. I don't remember when, but some days when I was a 7 or 6, I watched this an Unforgiven or the Rider from the High Plains, and I remember something from that. So it's kind of deep integrated cultural code. I want to say, and I mean this fantastic era of weapons. I mean we all know about Peacemakers, but it's fantastic era about crazy, strange. Weird guns that was all a part of a competitive run with the cold buttons and basically to establish what would be firearms will be looking like in all 27th century.
Yeah, and right.
Communal interest between founders. That was the moment when me and Victor decided that we want to do the same game when we were starting speaking about Weird West.
Yeah. For me, what I like about the West is that it's a fairly simple, well-understood, universal universe. It's a classic. Everybody understands medieval fantasy, and I think everybody understands West. With the cliches, the tropes of the Wild West that are very well understood and evocative. Whether it's the way it looks, the Rockies and all of that, or just the type of weapons, the type of characters that you imagine that you'll be there. So that's something that is very familiar. But in our case, with Weird West anyway, and even in the game that we're doing right now, we like to take those classics, but then we like to add something to it. So the classic is the familiar, and then we add something interesting and different, and because if you think about it, when you create a property, you want both. You want it to be not so out there that people don't understand any of it. So it's got to be somewhat familiar, but at the same time, you want it to be original and to bring something new. So I think the West is a good one as a basis for that.
Speaking about the guns, obviously, in this episode, we want to talk about cool gunplay, the physics of the guns, the ballistics, recoil, aiming system, all of that. And it's really interesting that shooting guns and shooting mechanics are one of the most probably ancient things we do in video games. Somehow we still love it after so many years due to the development of shooting mechanics themselves and also the evolution of the game design overall. There's so many regular, historical, exotic, alien guns in video games that you can talk about it forever. But let's try to focus it somehow and start with something that that defines the feeling of the player, whether it's a game with a cool shooting or it's a game with dull shooting. Because nevertheless, even though these design tropes of shooting mechanics exist for so many years, there are still games with cool shooting mechanics, and there are still games with bad shooting mechanics. How come? I don't know, guys. You're the experts.
I think it's all about like inspiration in terms of the shooting. I mean, like at the core, when the people, I mean, like for a tens of thousands of years, we as a humanity doesn't bored by killing each other by inventing a new ways how to do that. So what the games are different. And the most thing is that when the people trying to make the game about shooting and using the gun as a tools, it's about like inspiration. I mean, like some people just make a game. I mean, like they say like, okay, everybody's shooting. So like the clicking heads of the people for some reason could be interesting. Other people trying to design a game when they have some kind of a passion in this case. I mean, like market full of like, let's say, as you say, dual shooting and full of hugely, I don't want honestly even remember them at some point, and full of honestly inspiring game, like for example, like a Warframe or a Hunt Showdown, if we're speaking about Western, that is trying to bring some kind of a passion that obviously the designers had behind them and starting to make a game out of that, even as originally one, the passion is look like absurd. I mean, like Hunt Showdown has a gun that have a load time of 29 seconds. And when you like read that on a paper or in design document, you typically say like, guys, that doesn't work. I mean, like who even wants to test
ridiculous,
that? Yeah. But people like, they know what they're trying to do, and that's bring us results if they're smart enough, if they have enough iteration to redefine their own style. And when you play that, you say, oh, that's a new way to shoot. That's a fine way to shoot. That's a way to shoot that have some high idea behind that.
Yeah, shooting is interesting in games because, first of all, shooting in real life, I guess a lot of people find it fun. There's something entertaining about it. As since we are kids, the skill involved, you aim, and also it's very physical, very visceral. So it's not a surprise that the main things that we do in games is that, because if you really think about it, what better than a game as a media to emulate that real object that is a gun in a safe way, and where you're not going to really kill people, and which by the way is interesting because politicians always try to use video games as as something that creates violence, which is so wrong.
Or some people think that some people play shooter games because they want to shoot someone.
Yeah,
it's not like
which
that,
is so bad. Such a
and it's so far from real life.
Yeah. It's more like, instead, it's probably the opposite. It's probably like it allows you to. Violence in general in games is the same. I think it allows you to evacuate something from your psyche, or to test the boundaries, or like to let yourself go there in a way that will never be, that kind of like protects you from doing this in real life. I'm convinced that video games are the opposite of enticing violence. However, we people watch horror movies, people watch violent movies. It doesn't mean that these people are violent, right? It's the same thing. There's something that we need to process in our being, and I think video games participate to that when we give you a gun to shoot at things. But either way, shooting is interesting because it's more natural thing for video game, right? Because you're in first person, specifically in first person, and what best way to do that? But when we were working on, so our games, we always have some form of shooting, but if you think about it from it's more like action RPGs for our games, like Arx Fatalis, Dark Messiah, then Dishonored, and then Prey. So Prey probably was, even Dishonored, we had a gun, but it was more like, well, it's one tool among so many. And in Prey, I think it was the first game where we truly had guns. And then Weird West, now we have guns, but it's not in first person. But when we were working on Prey in first person, you realize that everything you can be a specialist, right, in video games. And our games are more like a mix of a lot of things. So we were never the specialists of guns. And we were lucky back then so I'm talking about Arcane Studios in this case. We were part of the Bethesda group, and with Bethesda, they were id Software. So when came the moment to do the guns for Prey, where our guns, a lot of it is there's so much to the gun play, but also the feeling is a lot of it, right? How does it feel in your hand? Like when you shoot, is the noise right? Is the vibration of the screen, the tones, the aim, tons of stuff. But we never realized how much work goes into it until we actually got some help from id Software. That's what they do. Like if you think about what are the proportions, like how much percent do they like we spend 2% in our guns, but they spend probably 30%, right? Because then they have everything else, of course, the visuals and the monsters and everything. But guns for them is a huge thing, and they've done that for decades, since the late 80s. So their participation was extremely helpful to us. Like you can tell when a group has been working on guns, and that's what they do, they work on guns. You can tell how much knowledge they have and how many things that they do that they don't even realize, and that we had no idea. It was maybe they helped us they sent a guy for 2 days or something, and he gave us so many little tricks. That's really super helpful.
2 days, right? The media always loves to say the id guys were making shooting mechanics for Prey, right? Exactly. 2 days, man.
Yeah, but 2 days, if you think about it, when you
precious consulting.
Yeah, exactly. It's fantastic consulting, very, very valuable consulting, because a lot of the implementation, a lot of the thing that you want is ideas and rules, because the implementation part, once you know those rules, you can just implement it. So in 2 days, if you give me a few pointers, and man, it's going to be extremely, extremely valuable. Even then, if it takes another 2 or 3 months to implement for each of those little pointers. So anyway, that was my experience with guns.
We have a very fun experience when we was looking for a 3C specialist for this exact same thing, like 2 days of consultations and stuff like that. And we was looking it through the few HR agencies that is typically working with the video game production. And few of them always trying to correct us. You're probably looking for a 3D specialist, because who the fuck is 3C specialist? And then they start to explain, guys, look, camera control, so how all these things works. You need to understand, it's not just a 3D specialist. You were trying to sell us 3D artist or what. And that's an interesting thing, because for a lot of part of industry, it doesn't exist. There is no such specialty.
Mm-mm.
That's interesting. So, Raph, you said that you were never, as a studio, as a collective, you were never a guns specialist, but in your games, even if it was a literal gun, it had some sort of twist on it. It wasn't just a regular pistol in Prey. It's a silenced pistol only in Prey. There is a shotgun, but there is no machine gun or something, that type of expected shit. Plus, you had that what many people probably consider old school at this point. You had the Gloo cannon. And that is what makes, that is one of the many things that make Prey a special game. Because Gloo cannon is a very interesting thing. It's one of those guns that define a huge portion of player experience. Like the gravity gun from Half-Life. And we can, I don't know. Is there any other unique example of that?
The portal gun.
The Portal gun, yeah, but Portal is a smaller game, you know, and that is the only gun in that game.
That's true. Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, some of it is more based on what we as a team like, you know, and pure shooters. I love them to some degree. You know, it's hard not to love Doom when it came out. But for me, I like things that are a little more indirect, a little more surprising, etc. So that's why we've always gravitated towards, and also some distinctive elements. Because if we fight on the gun, I mean, if that's what we love, we'll probably try to fight on the love territory. On the gun territory. But that's not really our main passion, and it's also a good way to distinguish ourselves. Because there's so many games that do guns that it's really hard to be the best gun game ever if all you do is that. So I think for us, going somewhere else and adding different angles and is also a way to not compete directly with some people.
How do you distinguish yourselves at Eschatology, Fuad?
No, first when we was designing the Western full of like nicely weird guns. I mean, like obviously, like Limat is like known for everyone, but I mean, like nine shots revolver with a double-barreled shotgun, under-barreled shotgun. I mean, like that's epitome of what the Western is designing, and all this like internal mechanics, like rotating cylinders, gated, reloaded, and all the stuff. That's all a fertilizing soil to design the distinctive gunplay. I mean, like for example, because I don't know how we make like a one shot or not, but I need to. I could not speak a lot in details about the actual game until we were starting the actual marketing campaign. So I will reference into other one. So, like for example, like speaking about the Han that we mentioned before. Han has a long reload and very awesome gunplay, but it's all put a lot of mechanical works into automatical animations. So instead of allowing you to actually work with your gun, to actually rotate your cylinder to choose what you're going to shoot, to actually distinguish different type of reloads for different type of cocking, he makes that all like more streamlined, basically putting only reload mechanics as a skill mastery thing for the mechanics of the gun. Opposite to that, if you're looking like as a game designers on the whole industry of the guns of the era, they have a huge variety of what you could actually play. Like for example, the Smith & Wesson have a spring reload of the era. So when you break, it was very innovative of the time. It was spring breaking reloading that extract all your bullets outside of the revolver automatically by the spring, and it's give you like a very huge fire rate, but you lost all unspent ammunition. And while it could be very efficient, we know that a lot of people like to press R. No, just like every time you have some time to press R.
I got 29. I want to have 32.
Yes,
you've lost
yes,
the 28.
Exactly. Yeah, and like the Buffalo Sharps rifle has a double trigger system in which you pull one trigger and make a hair-sensitive front trigger to prepare yourself for a sniper shot, and that's also a very nice, like let's say, two-segmented way to prepare the gun for a shooting and have some kind of a more deeper sniper gunplay when your preparation shot do actually something with the enemy, like a setting up or putting some status or something like that on him before you actually pull the front trigger and like finish him. Outside of the best example of how you could play with just like a normal mechanics, like general guns, but with a very good twist, there is a game in Warframe, there is a shotgun called Tigris. And I could imagine how the game designers of the Tigris have a goal, like, look, we have a double-barreled shotgun, and we needed to shoot with single barrel, one and another, and we also want to make it a double shot at the same time. But we give you only left mouse button, because we need a right mouse button for ADS, and we don't allow you to use any other button on the keyboard. So now solve this task. And the Tigris does that. When you click the button, it shoots from the left barrel. When you release the button, it shoots from the right barrel. So if you make a quick tap, it make a double shot. If you like hold and then retarget and release, it make a single shot. And that's allow you that's a simple thing, like just a double barrel shotgun, but have so many integral skill type of gameplay inside the mechanics of the gun that you could explore in terms if you like actually trying to move outside of the box when designing even simple guns. So that's a basic direction of what we're taking inside eschatology. We take historical guns, we add obviously some mystics on top of that and some personal characteristics of the previous owners of this gun. And then we're trying to combine that into some, let's say, mechanics that need you to master, to be actually master of this gun, even if this gun just a 6 shooter.
Cool. That reminds me of the reload mechanic from Gears of War, if you guys remember. If you
with a window.
Yeah, you have the windows. You have to be very precise in your timing. So, and it clicks, and the character goes something like nice, and you get straight into the combat, and it works in such a beautiful harmony. You go into the rhythm of the combat, very, very deep.
Oh, if you like that, I could strongly recommend you. There is a game. I couldn't remember that. I could send it to you after. There's a Hellsinger. It's a second game with a rhythmic shooter. And there was a game before that, more indie-like, with a Warsaw graphics in the style of a Norwegian Valkyries or the Myths. Basically around the same thing, like the metal music going on and you like running through the dungeons and killing the monsters. And they have a beautiful things in terms of reload, because they have reload for different guns that work in the segments. Like for the first tap of the R, you open the gun. For the second tap of the R, you put the bullets out. For the third tap of the R, you put another bullets. For the fourth tap, you close the gun. You have a musing going on, and if you miss the tap, you will be like slow down or lose some bullets. But this allows you to different guns have a different rhythm inside the reload, putting in it. And that's like very cool feeling, like as in progress of the mechanics of just like a rhythm window in the Gears of War.
It's a sad thing that I hate rhythm mechanics, basically.
I agree with you. Honestly, me too. I have no
metal. I tried Metal Hellsinger, but it's just not for all that Guitar Hero type of shit in other genres. Just no, banned, embargoed. Yeah.
I understood.
But there's a lot of super cool things happening to guns in Witchfire, the upcoming shooter from X People Can Fly. Oh my god, I forgot the
astronauts.
The astronauts, right? The Adrian Chmielarz, the ex-game director and designer for Painkiller, and he knows how to do that. And the game is gorgeous. It's still in early access. It goes on for like more than a year and a half. And the game evolves, it changes, and there's a lot of guns with a lot of hidden perks. When you upgrade the rifle, you wait for a diamond to lighten up, then you shoot that thing. If you try, I mean, it's beautiful, and it feels like a ballet. If you are skilled enough or patient enough to master Witchfire, it will be awesome. Yeah. So
I played a lot of Witchfire. Witchfire is awesome. I agree with you.
And it's also reminds of something Souls-like-ish in its core. They took Destiny, of course. They took everything. It's easy to see, but with such taste, and it's all done with such a style. You cannot say this is a game just combined from different elements. Yeah.
Yeah, they mostly focused on the extraction, and I am very like to see how with the future updates they go more and more in exploring. Because for me, it was when I just see Witchfire, I was like, oh, I could like have actual like this, let's say, kind of Western fantasy. They are not Western; they're like more like 18th century. It's not typically associated with the Western in this case, but Westerny, because they have like recognizable guns and recognizable elements. But then the first iterations of the Witchfire, there was lack of exploration. You just basically go through the one arena to another arena until you kill the boss.
Short, super atmospheric descriptions.
Yeah. And then like later through the evolution, now like when I return back to the game to see what's new, they add this like puzzles. To open these things for the boss, you need to first find something else on the arena. And
there's
like
definitely more narrative in that game. But they kick my ass worse than any time before.
Hardcore gamer, hardcore. Yeah, I agree with you.
Can you, Raphael, describe your approach as a designer when you are facing a goal to create some unusual gun? I mean, how do you? What is your mindset? From Fuad's description, it's like it sounds easy. We all understand it's not easy at all, but it's like you got the basis, you got your ambition and your fantasy, and then you mix it up. But if you go with like say alien guns that must feel extraterrestrial or something involved with magic involved and something like that, more abstract, how is that even created?
So the way we look at it, funnily enough, is that our games become interesting when the player is running out of ammo. Because it's the opposite. It's the opposite of a normal shooter. The way we look at guns for our games, right? Not for every games, obviously, but for our games, guns is more like, okay, we're going to give you a gun and it's going to do a lot of damage, everything you like. But there's going to be limited in ammo, because otherwise, if we give you that, then it's a shooter. And we want to be a little more adjacent to a shooter. We want that the game becomes that's when the player becomes more creative. Is where they have to count their bullets. So then they either have to be creative by looking at the environment and the good old shooting at the barrel kind of thing. Because
my favorite weapon was a metal crate.
Red barrels, yeah.
And then after that, well, then you have to. You have to be even more creative and use those super indirect gadgets that might do weird things like, invert gravity or stop time or whatever. And then you can beat the challenges in a way that is less direct, which is what we like. But then to your point about guns that are creative, I don't know if you mean like things like the glue gun, or because that's not even really a gun, frankly. It's something that will spawn glue in an environment, either because you want to climb on it or because you want to trap the monsters. And then once they're trapped, then you can switch to a real gun or to a wrench and finish them this way.
Yeah, it's not a gun; it's a system actor, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. So if we think about and most of the time when we think about guns that are going to be a little funny like that, it's always. We're going to think of a system behind it, some sort of magic thing, like either it's a teleporting system or it's something that will create a side effect. Like, for example, a gun that would create a physic that sticks to things, and then you can do things with or whatever, or manipulate time or all these kind of things. So. Yeah, I don't know if it answers the question, but it's a mix of flavor and funny side effects that are not usually gun-like. Because when it comes to guns, I don't think you have. I don't think that's our specialty so much. And the most expression you can do there as a creative is it's not gonna be our strength. It's gonna be things around the feeling, around the. Maybe the super, timing, the reload mechanics, etc., which is, again, it's a different type of target for us, I think, because we're more somewhere between RPG and action. So while we like a good feeling for a gun, it's always like the cheat mode for us. It's like, well, if you have bullets in your shotgun, yes, it's going to be easier for the player than when they don't have shotgun. So we want this to feel super satisfying, obviously, but we also want it to feel limited, which is usually not the way shooters steer the player. The pleasure of shooters usually is to really like feel powerful all the time and like shoot everything, and so that's not our games,
Yeah. When Weird West came out, though, you, as far as I remember, you struggled with the aiming system. It was criticized, and later on with the definitive edition, which I still play, you fixed it, adding an experimental camera mode. So the crosshair is now connected to the camera, and it changed things so much. it just felt like it started feeling like a different game. So when you chose, what was the creative path here? The game originally had like for a game with a lot of shooting, even not from the first person. It's an important thing that you changed the aiming system drastically.
Yeah. I think our first attempt was based on dual stick, twin stick shooters, which are from top down usually, or some sort of an ISO. And but our challenge was a little different because we also had a real 3D world. It was not like ISO. You could actually, there was elevation, so you could shoot at things that were higher or lower than your own plane. And that is not something we had anticipated. You'd think we would, but we did not. And we just thought, yeah, twin stick shooter should work for us. I don't see why it would not. No. And then we found ourselves this crazy challenge. And sometimes in development, you go down a path and you corner yourself and you think, fuck, what do we do now? Like, are we just going to eliminate the fact that you can shoot at, not at plane, but, beyond your own plane? Or are we, what are we going to do? So we had that system that for us worked. And, it's a matter of, the problem I think was that we did not see it coming. It was working. We tested it with different people. And then occasionally someone would say, I'm having problems with the aiming system. And we, as good developers as we are, we thought, it's probably just that guy. But the thing is, even if 1% of your players have a problem, when the game ships and it's scales to hundreds of thousands of sales or millions of people playing it, then a percent is huge. So that's kind of what happened to us. I think most people were fine with the aiming system. And also, aiming in anything else than first person is always harder anyway, unless you put some, some very, sticky aim assist systems or whatever. But first person is obviously the most natural. So that was the first challenge. So yes, we eventually fixed it by doing another aiming system, but it was more like as a response and as a reaction to seeing how many people were complaining about the aiming system. Then it's not that we knew it, frankly. I mean, maybe we refused to really look at it like a potential problem, because I think once you invested and you find, your entire team has no problem with it, then you think it's got to be the players, which is wrong, obviously. So yeah, we fixed it, but a little too late. You probably don't have that problem in your first-person games, all right? So that's the.
We have the problem with the controller on aiming systems, while things like an aim assist exist from the probably moment of the appearance of the games, or at least appearance. I mean, like even in Doom, you have aim assist by shooting people up. In this case.
Actually, that's a good question for you. What kind of aim assist do you do? Do you do the one that slows down when you are close to the target? Do you do the one that automatically snap to the closest target? Do you
a big issue inside the team in terms of the fighting of the team inside, like people who like and don't like, and have the different experience formed by what the platforms they start to play, and so basically based on what their relationship with aim assist and the control system. At the same point, we do a hardcore, probably extremely hardcore game, and in this case, the aim assist is not the thing that is like would take your skill out of you, because like if you like in the Red Dead Redemption, you could like snap right mouse button and you like, oh, I am the best shot in the West. But that's not the same feeling that you want to have the player after playing like a first person Souls game. So we basically have the system that basically work mostly on let's say
we know what feeling you want them to to experience.
exactly
I
like
suck at this game.
pain in the ass, like that's the most concentrated one. So but in general case, you typically saying what we basically saying is that people doesn't require in our vision on the audience doesn't require to become more casual. Like after like a 20 plus million of sales of the Elden Ring, they basically see it, okay, the hardcore is a pop market basically in this case. So people agree to play the hardcore game is the incentive, and if they feel themselves, let's say, fair in a different way. So our case is that our systems, or like aim assist systems, should allow people to overcome some kind of a problem that could probably have, like not so fast rotation in the control system, or the possibility to aim at the small target, but they would not take the control from him. So yeah, the friction, the reducing speed when the crosshair crossing the different body parts while you are aiming on that is one of the, like, let's say, main system of the aim assist. The possibility to a bit of change of your curve when you're moving your crosshair on the fast rotation is also important one. Like that's what we are basically testing. One of the last testing about, like, a magnetism and things like that. But like basically avoid sniping, avoid all the things that would take control from the player. Only the things that would help him to smooth, or let's say basically recalibrate his aiming speed, straighten the moment when he's aiming, to just help him to aim whatever we want to. We have this thing because in our game most of the enemies have a multiple of the weak spots, and there was a big design in terms of, like, in a typical MSC system, you are aiming at body or head, and the system need to understand, like, whatever closer, if the preferential system, the head must be more important than the body, because typically the shooters is about clicking on the head of the enemy. But in our case, it's not exactly the head, and so the system need to understand what you're trying to aim for, or as a final result doesn't need to understand anything, and you are all, like, let's say, homogeneous body, because if we will push you into the more weak spots, we also take away your understanding of anatomy of the monster, and basically take away your monster hunting skills, as opposed to exactly what you aim when you are, like, pointing your crosshair.
Yeah. What about what is your take on aiming systems in general? It's been such a long road. I mean, I remember games like The Punisher on the NES, when the only thing you controlled was the crosshair. Then there was, it was so obscure, but I loved it, with the helicopter boss and everything, that classics. Then there was a game, we mentioned Doom several times, and in Doom there was you couldn't aim up or down, but they had aim assist to, you want to shoot the Caco demon. So yeah, it's something right there. So you probably, you're a good shot. And there was a game called Cyclone somewhere in the 90s also, where the controls over the character were separate from the controls over the gun.
Yes. So do you remember Terminator? It was the same. Terminator.
That's a fine idea. I need somebody to perfect that. I think I mean, like, I like the feeling of that. Like, the character's one thing, the hand with the gun another thing. More like out of the shooter, there was a Die by the Sword game, like a slasher in which you sword is controlled by your mouse and your character is controlled by the keyboard. I mean, like, I hate this game, honestly, but the feeling was really nice.
Obscure and weird, but it was something like, maybe I'm bad. Maybe I'm just bad at games. I need to try it again. No.
Yeah.
Like, before they figured out that they need to tie the camera to the fucking crosshair, it was wild.
It's funny. It's funny how we went through that as developers and gamers. Like, we went through that evolution of the industry, trying to figure out the standards, right? And now the standards are pretty much established, so there's not as much wiggling room for innovation there.
Like, I'm typically telling this like a horror story for younger team members of when you're telling about, like, people playing only on keyboards and shooters. So we call them tractors, and they turn on the one side of the keyboard and run on the other side of the keyboard and aim on that, and they don't use mouse for the PC gaming and they even oppose the implementation of mouse in this case, because the keyboard
people protested to use mouses in
yes, I know.
Never would I use.
And then people protested then to use pad.
Oh, right.
I'm still at this phase somewhere somehow.
Where are you? You with the mouse?
Yes, yes, yeah. I was so deep integrated into PC gaming.
Mouse
So
only.
no, sadly, no. I mean, like obviously, as a coach, gaming is very attractive when you have family, and also for shooters in the same case. So I was forced to learn how to use gamepad. But yeah, I mean, like if I'm alone, it's mouse only. Yeah.
I've pretty much moved to the pad at this point. I think some of it is the comfort of leaning back, like playing like that, as opposed to like being hunched. But yeah, I just switched to the pad a few years, some years ago, and I still can play with the mouse, of course, but I kind of find it more comfortable with you lose precision for sure, so you definitely need more aim assist.
Yeah, but you sort of gain some like other type of tempo when there's a lot of atmosphere, like in games like with a lot of exploration and heavy atmosphere, when you don't want to be fast in games like Prey or Dishonored, Bioshock, Stalker 2, they're better. Sometimes they're better with the gamepad just because it's like when you play a Grand Theft Auto game, you hit the W on the keyboard and the car just goes wow instead of being smooth about it with the gamepad. During the design, how do you think about different players using different devices? Because even for me, like we mentioned Witchfire, and I've tried Witchfire with the gamepad originally. Then I switched to mouse because I got my ass kicked too often. Obviously, mouse and keyboard give you more precision. Yes. How do you analyze that?
I think in Witchfire, it's not only precision, but there is a thing when we was analyzing about like different aim assist systems and how the people work with the gamepad and the opposite to the mouse and keyboard. I think the main thing in Witchfire that was make the gamepad uncomfortable is that there's a lot of teleporting enemies, and they often come 180 degrees behind you. And if you don't have like a God of War button that like rotates you 180 degrees in the moment, which for a first person is like a bit of dizzy if you apply that, it's very hard.
You
on the
had that
gamepad.
in the Counter-Strike Global Offensive, I believe, for consoles.
Probably,
it was
probably.
weird.
I need to try. Yeah, and so you need like to rotate like in a lot to shoot the back attacking
and run
enemies
at the same time.
Yeah. So that's like I think the main concern is not like exactly about precision, because the aim assist works pretty good in terms of the precision in this case. So we are basically we're having like a slow-paced game in our case, so we don't have a lot of problem in working through the gamepad, because we mostly need to be worried about precision and helping about to compensate the less of accuracy in this case. But in other case, the tempo is comfortable when you like have a small amount of shots, need to know where to shoot, and then run away to reload, because like otherwise you will be killed because you run out of ammunition. We are in some way following the proposal of the RAF, like the game is better when you like run out of ammo. It's not like because you not enough ammo, but because you have very small amount of ammo inside the gun, and
it's
then
an oldest gun. Yeah, it's not an assault rifle. Yeah.
yeah, and there is no clip to change it's fast and stuff like that. So so that's a typical thing. We more intensively classify the player when we're looking into different play styles, because let's say we have this like marketing talk with our like partners, and basically there's a discussion about like you could classify players in the shooter games in, let's say, like 4 broad categories, like let's say assault, sniper, spray and pray, and the marksman type. Like basic shotguns, say automatic fire, long range sniper, camping style, and heavy semi-auto on a mid to, let's say, close range. And while the Western type of game typically fall into the marksman style because of the guns that you propose to them, you typically know that there is more to the market. I mean, like there is people who want to play shotguns. There is people even in the Western wants to play, or at least to have some kind of auto or like overwhelming firepower.
I want to be a
direction
dude with a Gatling gun. Yeah.
Yes, exactly like that. And then you need to somehow, so you know the classification of that. And on top of that, like we're making souls, so there is the people who want to melee. While the nobody bring a knife to a gunfight, still some people want to have a melee option because that gives them the feeling, okay, like at least the kick enemy in the face in a bullet storm style or something like this. And so after you classify, let's say, the available playstyles for your game, then we typically going and looking through that, okay, this type of guns would be more to this type of audience. And so we need to more focus to like marksmanship abilities, like heavy hitting, rewarding for an accurate shot and stuff like that. This is for a long preparation. So you spend like 15 minutes per shot and then you kill the guy. It's like a long time, but you feel yourself, oh, okay, I'm a sniper guy. Oh, this is like a gun.
I cooked this shot.
Yes, exactly.
I boiled it.
Yes. So even like become colder at the moment I shot. Yeah, and the overpower, like I say, Gatling style. With the Gatling style, it's more like a concept like most of the marksman type of games, like weak spots and our game in this case, have the problem with the Gatling because in balance-wise, I mean, like if I could kill the enemy in the body shots, why I care with this like skill issues with a skill-based like a marksman gun? If I could not kill enemy with the body shots, then why do I hell need a Gatling? I mean, like I just like wasting an ammunition, and that's typically mostly in the case of either finishing gun. Like, okay, I'm set up the enemies, but I make a mistake. He's coming at me. Okay, that's my last reserve, like a the patience word in English. There was a gun that you have many barrels, and with the one pull of the trigger, the all barrels starting to shooting simultaneously.
Yeah.
Well, not a shotgun with a multi-barreled, like a pistol or multi-barreled shotgun, to like basically overwhelm the enemy, stun, stagger, or finish him off, and return back to, let's say, to marksman style in the future. So yeah, classify them, find a way to satisfy them, and then find the control scheme to support that.
Nice. Because of these stories, I remembered another game with a crazy gun. It was Venom. Codename Outbreak.
Yeah. with the transforming guns for a
such
different
a style. It felt like a fantasy of some young boy. I want a cool gun, and it's like you play war in your yard, in the village. You go, I have a machine gun. No, this is a sniper rifle. You said it was a shotgun. No, this is the missile launcher. Yeah, all in one.
My main memory about Venom is how bad foliage was. I mean, the game was mostly in the jungle. I don't see only see pixels around.
It was cool, but it was totally ugly. Yeah, but it was fun. Yeah. So nice. It's an interesting thing that you both are doing games with shooting mechanics, and obviously this is a big thing to pull off, but neither of your games are pure shooter games. Like, this is not Call of Duty, this is not Bulletstorm, this is not Painkiller. This is something like with a sidestep to it, Souls-like shooter game, and immersive games which get only better when you have no ammo. That is the both cases are a very interesting take on the ancient mechanic of shooting in games. Is there a struggle? Is there like the crisis of the genre, where when people start searching for something, mixing mechanics to see what happens? And where's the future for shooters? Obviously, we won't have another. There's always this talk. Will we ever have another blah blah blah, like A or B or XYZ? First of all, do we need another XYZ if we already have those beautiful XYZs in our life? And yeah, but it's interesting where this thing is going. Like, the Souls mixed the mix of shooting plus, like, let's forget about the rhythm mechanics, but something else. What are your thoughts about it?
I mean, like, first of all, I'm making an indie company, and I don't make an indie company to make another one of clone of the game that we have already on the market without like realizing my dream or my inspiration. I mean, like, that just was just stupid in this case. And so while I'm like totally big fan of a lot of shooting game on the market, I don't want to be like, let's say, one of them. So when we was designing the game originally, we coming from the problem that from our point of view, like nobody solved. And that's the problem, like in my list of like what I want to think about when I'm a game designing in my garage in terms of like that. And I'm a big fan of RPGs. I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons from '99, and I mean, like, all different type of RPGs bring very nice elements when you and most of the RPGs that coming to the market, shooting RPG. So that's why I'm going to Warframe originally, then to Division, because they promise me an RPG, but then they turn into some, let's say, bullet spongy looter shooter type of style. When I was not feeling myself shooting, I was feeling myself, I don't know, using the spear, like a long one, but I need to ping enemies for a lot of time until he died. And that's kind of an RPG element because they need to compensate the growing of health, growing of character attributes, and all the different stuff with, let's say, less adequate guns. And while it was fun, because it was like when I was first playing them, it was fresh, I was thinking that they're always underwhelming in this case. Because, like, for example, coming to the solo genre doesn't require you to find the bigger gun every time. You could take any gun, I mean, like any sword in this case, or any like a hammer, axe, etc., and then you could like always be adequate on the all level. And the question is like, could you manage to control it? If you could manage to control it, you could win the game. And that's the main approach when we was trying to design the shooter, going through the RPG elements. We were saying, okay, every gun is a style, and everything is like, let's say, different, and everything is equal. I mean, like, there is no better gun in the game. There is a better gun exactly for you. Old
school approach, like in Quake, that did the same thing. Every gun makes sense. All these 40 hours or whatever.
So I mean, like, I was playing Quake competitive a long time ago when I was like at the end of the school, and like probably that have some trauma in my head.
Sure.
But I mean, like, and that's like bring it, like, let's say, different feeling in terms of that. In terms of I want to try different guns every time. Obviously, I find a new guns. It would be a moment. Oh, it's a new gift. I need to unwrap it, look at it, and probably in most of the cases put it on the shelf and return back to the gun that I already be accustomed to. Or there is some brilliant moment I say, okay, this gun is perfect for me. I mean, like, I was waiting for this gun all my like a gaming experience because it's so adequate to my own playstyle. So now I will keep with it. And for the future of the market, when we're looking at that, like, my typical best comparison, if you're moving to less indie and more, let's say, mainstream genre, is like the Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, like, there was a Counter-Strike. I mean, like, I was playing Counter-Strike when I was young. I was playing Counter-Strike when I was old. I mean, like, I was always playing Counter-Strike from time to time.
I still play Counter-Strike too, man.
And it's like, it's concentrated and very simple experience, let's say that. And then coming like Rainbow Six Siege, and they basically say, okay, we understand we could not reinvent the idea of Counter-Strike. It's still Counter-Strike. I mean, like, you have bullets, you're shooting at the enemies. But we give you some, let's say, technology thing that Counter-Strike could not do at the original moment. We give you distraction, we give you gadgets, we give you traps, we give you preparation, and all that stuff.
It's like your classmates who has a PC tells you about Counter-Strike that does not exist.
Yes, and it could not exist. I mean, like, I think with all the technology of the time, and they basically Siege say, okay, look, that's a, let's say, I want to say new Counter-Strike because it puts me against the two audience who starting to fight each other in this case, but let's say that, I mean, like, new age Counter-Strike. And I was looking at the Siege and see, like, okay, that's a very nice approach to in terms of evolution of, like, okay, the next step Counter-Strike. Probably in like 10, 20 years, we will have some new technology. I will not speak about new technology that we have in 10 years. And then there would be a new Counter-Strike in terms of like, look, guys, we're keeping the formula because we want to keep the whole audience. We want to keep the whole already refined and Counter-Strike experience. But we have some twist in terms of the mainstream genre that will make our game memorable and like strongly different. I don't think big businesses would move away from the concept of like you have a bullets fly fast and kill you in the head at the end of the road. Still, when you're having this new zoo research, the modern shooter is a still top popularity setting narrative wise.
Yeah, you mean the modern military setting?
Yeah. And every time you're trying to, let's say, reinvent that, you still go away from the biggest audience that you have in the world. So I don't think that Call of Duty or like any other people who try to compete in this area would move away from it, because that's the biggest area, and
that's McDonald's,
playground.
Man.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to be stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Raphael, what's your take? Yeah.
Well, a lot of things were said, I think, but for me, it really comes down to what we, the team, want to make more than what are the trends and what works. Because yes, I agree. I think the biggest market share, the biggest common denominator is going to be, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, whatever. Like, the something that people absolutely get, they understand that,
and that ain't bad. Relevant. I think we need to, to say that thing. This is not a bad,
it's not a bad thing, but that's not, the way I want to make games and the way my team wants to make games will never be to follow the trend, to follow where is the most money. Because I think to do, if that was our natural taste, then fantastic, but it's not. So I think the best way to make good things is to just really follow what your passion is. So in our case, we will never gravitate there because it's just not what we like. We like things that are, a little more, that are different, that are more, I guess, creative, because then if you go there, you're really competing with the raw talent of how to produce absolute reality and all that feelings that goes around that.
And the budgets for that are crazy.
Sure. Yeah. But even, sure, for sure. There's the budget thing as well, and the size of the team, the size of the team, etc. But I think it's all, again, it really comes down to how do you want to express your creativity? What does matter to you as someone who contributes to the world as a developer or a game developer? So to me, that's really the bottom line at the end of the day. I'm not, and then when it comes down to money, there's also a lot of money to be made. As long as there's money to be made with what you can bring, I think that's what matters. If it's not enough, if it's, then sure, you get then to start compromising. But, and that's really how I look at it. It also, even in those areas, I think some people can bring something and innovate. Did you see that game? I can't remember the name, but it made a buzz for a while, and I don't even know if it came out or if it's good. Where it was a first-person SWAT
typical game of 2025. I don't know if it's good or if it even came out.
Yeah, it's true. But
video
it
games
was very,
these days.
It had that first-person camera feeling, like camera on the shoulder.
The body cam shooter.
The body cam.
Yeah, body.
Yeah. It was the one where you would move your arms a little before you would see. It really felt like you were looking at a documentary of someone shooting in a super realistic environment.
There are two such a game. One is a multiplayer based on the body cam that is already on Steam, and one is that was originally started as trend. They make a first trailer as a French studio making the game like a let's say parkour or a Luc Besson style. I know them because they are part of the TGF portfolio that we also are. So and both of them like focused on having this like, okay, I am in the real world. Let's say that I'm looking through the body cam of the.
I'm a SWAT operator.
Yeah, it was a terrorist thing. I think it was a kind of like a counter-terrorist game. I think it was single player, the one I had in mind, but yeah, some people showed me a few videos, sent me those videos. I was like, wow, that looks really amazing. So I guess, yeah, there are ways to innovate. But I think you have to align that innovation with your passion as a game developer. Probably the way I look at it.
Yeah. As we were talking about it, I was imagining, a mediocre listener, potential listener for this podcast. And I was like, first of all, if I want to make a shooter game, I have problems. That's already a problem because it's expensive, it's tough, and then I have to be original. And I already lost something because I refused to do a modern military game. And then you go counting on your fingers all those difficulties that you might have down the road. But yeah, at least, guys, all of your personal and the examples that we were talking about, at least they show that you don't actually have to be a mainstream game set in a super pop world to earn money, to be something, to finish the job and let your passion out.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it from if you look at it from individual level. If you are on those absolutely huge franchises that we're talking about, this is the kind of franchises. The reason they're being made is not for an individual. Is for because there's thousands of investors and people that are tens of thousands of people that are living on it. So then you wonder, like, why do those giant ass games that generate billions of dollars for the stock market? I mean, that's really it. It's not like the people who work on it. At the end of the day, they're probably wealthy. They're probably making a lot of money, but you can make the same kind of money on a smaller game as an individual. So it's really to feed the machine. It's really to feed a machine that is much bigger than the individuals that are making the game.
And that machine does not feel good in the past years.
And that machine doesn't feel good, and that machine doesn't really care about anything other than the money.
Fuck so that machine.
So, well, that's why. Well, yes or no. That's why I always go back to what is it that you like? Because when people say, "Oh, yeah, no, we need to do that because that is what works," it's like, well, that is what works if you are targeting like those like that is what works. Yeah, there is a huge market that feeds a lot of people that are not even understanding games. But that doesn't mean that you are going to be richer as an individual because you work on those games.
Yeah, that's number one. And number two is that I would say that there's too many people in game development, in gaming industry right now who don't love games. Their thinking is that this is what works, so we got to do that. Well, fellas, you can buy shit and sell it a bit, more expensive for a higher price, and it will also work. You don't have to be in games to do that. And yeah, that's some sort of perk of time of the era. Yeah, but and I'm sure that the current crisis is tied to this in a very straightforward way.
Following the trends. Yeah,
very optimistic view on that, because like a lot of people who come into the industry, doesn't matter for what they come, for money or for passion or something like that, they create a lot of content. Most of this content of shit, but in absolute numbers, the amount of like really good things, when it's like only last few years I have my wish list only growing, and I actually have no time to even start the really good games that I want to play, because amount of them are like increasing and increasing. I like the example of the guy with Balatra. I mean, like, the guy doesn't know the shit about poker, and he like say, okay, there is a things like a poker, the poker has a combination.
Everybody
something
plays
like
that.
Yeah, let's do a game about it. So I mean, like,
man, that's what I love about the world in general, is that they are the ones who try to find the formula, and they can't find the formula. I mean, the formula works for a while, so you have this huge amount, these people that with huge funds, basically, who have zero creativity, and what they're trying to do is buy the guys who, like Balatro, who will come with the thing, and then they hope that now that they have it, they're gonna systematize the money machine, and it's going to work for like 2 or 3 rounds because they go big, they invest everything they have. And then there's another Balatro guy that comes up, and you know, I love the world this way. You know, that kind of like impossible to make a formula to know what's going to work or not, because there's no rule. That's the thing. Like, yeah, money will give you something for a while until it doesn't.
I think that was the great ending. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time.